what's the best hearing device for the money?
If you've ever wondered that, what's the best hearing device for the money? This video is for you.
So really what we're talking about is value. What do you value the most? Is it, I want to spend less and still hear? Or is it, I want to hear, but I want to be really comfortable. I want to be as comfortable as possible. I want to have a really high performing product.
This is a loaded question, right? Because it depends so much on the individual. Some people might have a lifestyle where they're in meetings all the time, they're flying on airplanes.
Super dynamic.
They're interacting with people, they're busy. Someone else may have a more quiet lifestyle where they're in their home most of the time, maybe talk to 1 or 2 people a day and watch some television. And so what's worth it for one person might not be for another. It's kind of a complicated question.
Well, and then you take into account that you may want to be dynamic because you're in all these difficult environments. But because of the way you lost your hearing is different than the way your neighbor lost his or her hearing, you're just different people. We have people that we do tests on and we see how they hear, but what do they do? What do they do with the sound? What's their function level? What is their brain doing with the sound? And so we have individuals who have some pretty serious nerve damage, which means their brain and their ear, this end organ down here, this peripheral organ, is trying to talk to this central organ. But because the relationship between those two is so muddied, it's so compromised, they may only be, like if you say a list of 20 words, they may only be understanding 60 to 64%, whereas your neighbor understands 92 to 96%. So who do you think is going to do better with their hearing device? The individual that can score 96% or the individual scoring 66%. I mean, those are two very different people.
People are different. People have different lifestyles. People have different budgets. People have different
performance.
People have different neurologic capabilities, different hearing losses. So it's a little bit tricky, but let me just say if we start at the high end.
Okay.
High-end hearing aids can be worth it to a lot of people. They might say, this product brings the most value to me because even though it's more expensive, it's going to last a little bit longer.
And it's more adaptable.
It's more adaptable. As professionals, we have the ability to program it differently, to adjust it more finely, and to be able to personalize it a little better.
And the patient has the ability to adjust it differently and be more adaptive and be more sensitive to different things. And so there are more bells and whistles on the high-end products.
And some people will have patients that say, that to me is worth it. It is worth it to me to spend a couple $1,000s more to be able to have a product that's going to last longer. It's going to last me years and years. And it's more adaptable. It's better able to meet my needs. For some people, that's actually the best value. But not for everybody.
Other people might be thinking, I need something as inexpensive as possible that still allows me to be healthy. Things are audible. I can hear better. I'm connecting better. I'm better than I was without the device. And that might be the best product for you. Recently, the less expensive devices, the treatment plans that we offer that just cost less, are better than they've ever been. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where if we were selling a hearing device that was $1,000 per ear or $800 per ear, that device was big and bulky. It had wires that wouldn't quite go in quite as nicely, or maybe it would whistle very easily, feedback. It was a product that didn't handle background noise very well at all. It was a kind of a simpleton. It was a product that just didn't do well if you were in background noise.
Yeah, we have entered an era with hearing aids where even the less expensive devices, even those at the low end of the price range, are premium products.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
It is.
I mean, even the size. Even the way it looks and fits on your ear and sits and it recharges, they're rechargeable. It wasn't that long ago that if you were paying less, it meant no rechargeability.
You're giving up a lot.
You're giving up a lot. Now they're all rechargeable. They have the same specs as it relates to rechargeability and power that you can access. The fitting range, essentially the same. So it's very interesting that in our day and age, individuals can get a premium product that looks premium, it performs like it's premium, it does a lot of nice things. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles for perfect adaptation for certain very difficult environments. They're pretty good. It's more valuable than it's ever been.
And for a lot of people, that's the best value. Let's go low end. What's low end today was high end 20 years ago. But it is true, if you're comparing today's really expensive hearing aids to the less expensive ones, obviously the more expensive ones can do a little more.
That's right.
They're more flexible, they're more adaptable, they're more personalized. But boy, the lower end ones, the less expensive ones,
that's right,
they're better than they've ever been.
You know, in general, a device that's really low, whether you're buying it at Costco, like a warehouse, or you're buying it from a group like a professional clinic, like hearing and balance doctors, like our clinic, wherever you're at, in general, the premium type low-end products, those products that are just less money, they tend to be anywhere from really 1-2 generations to like 5 generations old. So they are an older chip, it's an older technology, it's going to usually be slower in its performance, not quite as quick. Just like computers keep getting faster, technologies for hearing health keep getting quicker, keep getting faster. They continue to become more dynamic in those tough environments. And so those premium type products that are less in money, they're lower cost, they're not going to have the dual chip systems and some of those fancy features, but they are quite nice. In fact, just 2, 3, probably 3 to 5 years ago, those were some of our better hearing devices. Yeah. So it's great. The value is there for sure, and it's all about the patient experience, them trying to decide and figuring out what's most important for you. And that's what we do here at our clinic. I think other clinics may do this as well, but I can only speak for us. We allow patients to start somewhere, try products, go down in cost, see what their performance is like, go up in cost, see what their performance is like, and then they know what's the most valuable for them.
Yeah, I agree. So I want to talk a little bit about something in the middle too. So we're talking about this spectrum of price. And if we're talking numbers, a lot of times people are afraid to say numbers. You know, the really most expensive hearing aids, you're looking somewhere from $6,000 to $8,000. I'd say that's a fair range for high-end stuff. If you're looking at the less expensive devices, you're probably looking anywhere from $1,400 to $2,400, something like that. If you're looking in the mid-range, you're probably looking in this $3,000 to $5,000 window. And I have many patients. In fact, I would say the majority of patients
maybe even as high as 6 out of 10,
yeah.
5 out. I mean, it's a high percentage that love to be right in the middle.
Right in the middle, because to them that is the best value.
Yeah.
I would say for the majority of my patients, when they try everything, they try the less expensive, they try the really expensive, they try the middle. They say, for me, the best value is right in the middle. That's where I'm getting a lot of these high-end features. I'm not paying a couple thousand extra, but I'm also not settling for something that I feel like I could be doing better. And so, I would say that for most people tends to be what they consider to be the very best value.
That's right. And you know what's neat is that the mid-tier, kind of those middle levels and the high-end levels, they usually have the same chip, almost always. And yes, you're going to be in the 4,000 to 5,000 range, somewhere in there. But that new chip is always their very best chip as far as quickness, speed, the newer technologies. It's defeatured just a little bit. Let me give you an example. In the high-end products, wind guard, or the ability to reduce wind noises around you, you'll have everything from off all the way up to considerable, and you'll have about 4 or 5 options of how much wind you're willing to allow in and still allow the speech to rise above it. In the mid-tier products, it's usually off or on. You can have it off, or you can just have it on, or maybe mild or moderate. You'll have a few options, but not nearly as many. Same thing for noise reduction. Instead of having many options for the way you want to hear noise and the way you want to hear speech, that's for the high-end products. For these products that are in the middle, you don't have quite as many options. The technology's there. It's definitely enhancing, it's improving, and it's reducing noise, just not as aggressively as the high end. And so it's all about the patient deciding what's the value. When I look at how much I'm spending, I'm okay to spend a little more if the benefit rises above. And I think that cost-benefit analysis, if I were buying a hearing device, which is why we sell devices and we prescribe hearing devices for people the way we do, I'd want to research a little bit and wear different products and try it out.
One thing I've learned in my life, and probably many of us have learned this, for many years I just wanted to get the very least expensive product.
obviously, you come out of college, you've got debt.
Don't have a lot of money. I just need the very least expensive. As my life has gone on, I've realized the value of paying for things that are a little bit better quality.
That's right.
They last a little longer, they function better.
And you're happier.
I'm happier with the product. You kind of pay for what you get in a lot of ways.
That old adage, you pay for what you get, it kind of applies to hearing devices.
It kind of applies to everything and definitely applies to hearing devices. But we live in an exciting time where even the less expensive hearing aids are still premium products. They're still really, really good.
Better than they've ever been.
Yes, better than they've ever been.
One thing we're not talking about, we've talked a lot about the technology, low-end, kind of these premium low-end products that are defeatured a little bit, all the way up to the high-end. What ties into this experience? What ties into this value?
Yeah, what we're not talking about is service. These products are only as good as the professional who is programming them and fitting them and using them, and the team that is there to help. And so the service component that comes with your hearing aids is huge.
It's a massive. So imagine buying a really great car. You know, you got your Volkswagen Jetta or your Honda Accord and you're so excited. In fact, you've read things that says, this Toyota Camry is going to last me to 250,000 miles because that's what they're known for. But do those cars really last that long? Not if
you're not changing the oil, not if you're not rotating the tires. Yeah, you've got to do the proper maintenance on these things. And so people make that mistake with hearing aids. They get something out of the box. They think this thing's just going to last me years and years and I don't ever have to do anything with it.
We see it all the time.
That is not correct.
That's right. So you need individuals that are properly taking care of your device, properly managing your hearing needs, which change. You take a patient from day one when they get their device, and then say 5, 6, 7 years out, they are a different patient. They've usually become increasingly more needy. They need the device more than ever because their ability to hear has been slowly getting worse. No one is static. No one just stays the same. Most individuals, once you hit like age 60, it's this very slow change of losing your hearing a little bit every year based on your health, medical conditions, blood flow, what's happening in your blood, diabetes, cholesterol, all those kind of things. These type of conditions in your life, noise that you're around, hobbies you may have, they affect your hearing. They didn't seem to be affecting you too much in your 30s and 40s, but by golly, they are now affecting you now that you've hit that golden stretch of your life. And so you're changing, you're fluctuating, your devices need to be changed and fixed and recalibrated. We're dealing with electronic devices, and if electronic devices are anything like your cell phone or your computer, they need some TLC.
Yeah, I think the take-home message is service is not just important. Service with a hearing aid is essential.
Critical.
You have to have it. You have to have good service. You could have the best hearing aid in the whole world. You could spend thousands and thousands of dollars on an amazing hearing aid, but if you don't have a good audiologist and a good team that is fitting and programming and adjusting and counseling and maintaining that hearing aid for you, it's almost worthless.
You know, I don't want to put too much pressure on us, but I don't mind saying, and again, I don't mean to be dramatic, but I wouldn't doubt that an individual that buys the very fanciest, best Cadillac of hearing devices, the very best you could buy, they might enjoy that technology for 6 months before it's just not working like it did when it was new.
Yeah.
That's how quickly, and that's on the good scale. Like that's on a really gracious, forgiving scale. There are many individuals that could go 2 months or something like that before it's just not working well. So you really need a team. You really need professionals, so both individuals to help take care of the device and maintain the device, as well as professionals who are helping you meet your best targets and connect at the highest level all the time for you to have that best health, healthiest hearing, healthiest lifestyle, best connectivity type scenario.
Yeah. So as you're looking at value, what's the most valuable? Don't forget the service component. Regardless of whether you're getting a hearing aid on the low end of the price spectrum or the high, you have to factor in that service component.
And we don't mind saying that if you buy a lower end premium product or the very highest, most current cutting edge product, more important than your technology is actually the service and the team with whom you're dealing with. And so you really want to take that into consideration. It'll help you reach it'll help you better reach your auditory goals and your listening goals. And keep those relationships in check and keep those relationships close to you. Keep all the things that matter the most to you at the highest priority. Okay, everybody, we so appreciate you watching the video today. If you've liked what you've seen, please like it, subscribe to our channel. It means the world to us, but it also means the world to other people who are trying to figure out what's going on with their hearing health. So thank you for watching.